one thing that I think is always going to be with us, one thing we're always going to have to deal with is censors. The censorious, authoritarian motherfuckers out there who I think don't really, generally speaking, do not care that much about the things they're trying to censor or helping people. They just really, really like to be in control. They like to be in charge. They have a weird, twisted dom kink where they like to make everyone around them submit, and they don't care about consent. This of course, I'm speaking about this feminist group, Collective Shout. The leader of this group, what's her stupid name? Melinda Tankard Rice. This Australian woman is a Christian feminist, but I don't think it matters if you want to describe her as a left wing or right wing, because this really boils down to authoritarian versus libertarian, or control freaks versus people who just want to be left the fuck alone. And most of us, I think, most people, most of the time want to be left the fuck alone, and they only get worried about this kind of stuff if we start to get into the realm of, is somebody actually being hurt? Is something non-consensual going on? Is our children being affected by something like child pornography, for instance? That is something that people are concerned with, because children cannot consent to be involved in that sort of thing. And so, obviously, you're not being a busybody or a censor when you say, okay, this is a crime. This should be stopped and prevented, and perpetrators should be sent to jail. However, when it comes to censorship of art, of video games, of movies, of literature that deals with adult themes, with consent, with consenting adults, pornography, for instance, pornography that's not, we could have a whole discussion of whether pornography is healthy or unhealthy or bad for society, but as it stands, pornography, at least in the United States, is protected by free speech laws. And so are pornographic video games, so are pornographic erotica, etc., etc. But Collective Shout, an Australian, g'day, Australian censors, why don't you fuck off? I'm terrible at Australian accents, but if you say, rise up lights, rise up lights, rise up lights. It sounds like razor blades in Australian. Anyways, Collective Shout, this Australian feminist group, they have their panties all in a bunch over sex games on Steam and itch.io. They had a big old success a little while back when they petitioned to get this No Mercy game removed from Steam and itch.io. So here's what they say in a statement. I'm so tempted to read it in a bad Australian accent. Usually I kind of do a pompous British accent, but so they have this open letter here to PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, PaySafe Limited, Discover, Japan Credit Bureau, and all the chief executive officers of these groups. And they say, we, the undersigned, are writing to request that you... I can't do the Australian. We, the undersigned, are writing to request that you cease processing payments on gaming platforms which host rape, incest, and child sexual abuse-themed games. In April, we exposed the sale of rape simulation game No Mercy on both Steam and itch.io gaming platforms. In the game, players assume the persona of a man who rapes his female family members, including his mother and his aunt, as punishment for his mother's infidelity. They read the marketing for the game, which, it's disgusting, right? Like, that's terrible. That's terrible. Who thought to make such a gross game? But what's more terrible is telling people they're not allowed to buy it and play it, or that they're not allowed to make it. To me, that's much more terrible than the game itself, which is a video game fiction in which nobody is actually raped or hurt. Again, like, you can say this is not your cup of tea. I don't want to play a game where I rape my mother and aunt because it's gross. and it's not my cup of tea. But I'm not going to tell you that you can't play that game or the developers that they can't make that game, because guess what? I have the option of simply not playing the game. I have the option of not watching the trailer for the game or caring about it or talking about it or trying to get Visa and PayPal to not allow it to exist in the first place, to try to prevent other people from spending their money on it. That's within my ability to live a life of not trying to control other people, because I don't have this weird power kink that these mostly women have from Collective Shout. I mean, my kinks are my kinks, your kinks are your kinks, and I'm cool with them as long as they involve consent and as long as they involve, adults rather, not kids. The problem with these people is they don't care about consent. They want to prevent you from playing games that they think are wrong, because censors get to choose what's good and what's bad and what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do, like as though they're your parents. Well, I'm sorry, but my parents can't even tell me what to do anymore, and I certainly don't want Melinda Tankard-Reist, the movement director of Collective Shout, to tell me what I can or cannot do. But see, the problem is that this woman has a really, really bad dom kink, and she doesn't care about consent. She's just going to do her thing no matter what. And she's going to bully people and bully these credit card companies and ultimately bully Steam, which Steam and itch.io have ended up. Well, we'll get to that. Let's keep going. The game was geo-blocked in Australia following Collective Shout's complaint to the Australian Classification Board. Following our global viral campaign, including a change.org petition signed by over 70,000 concerned individuals and attracting international media attention, the game was taken down in Canada and the UK and pulled from Steam by the developer. However, we have since discovered hundreds of other games featuring rape, incest, and child sexual abuse on both Steam and itch.io. I should just pause real quick here. Pause. To just point out that there are no games on Steam or itch.io involving child sexual abuse. Those were never allowed on these platforms under the terms of service of Steam or itch.io. For one thing, child sexual abuse, like child pornography, is illegal. You can't have that stuff on Steam. It's illegal. Now, were there games featuring rape and incest? Absolutely, because fictional portrayals of rape and incest that don't involve children are protected free speech. Again, if you want to ban these things, there is a process for that. You get your elected officials. In a democracy, you get your elected officials involved. You get them to write new laws, and you get those passed. And then if they're challenged in the courts, you hope for a court victory. That's how it's done. You don't go to PayPal and Visa and try to get this is stomping on people's democratic freedoms using payment processors. And it's just bullying. It's the worst kind of bullying, censorship. I honestly can't believe Steam buckled to this bullshit, honestly. Anyways, I'm going to keep reading because it's fun. Most of the content found within these games, including the graphics and the developers' descriptions, are too distressing for us to make public. So distressing. I swoon. Do you ever wonder if people like this are just like, they really like this stuff? They like it so much that they just have to ban it so that they don't consume it themselves? It's like the whole like super homophobic dude is actually like deeply in the closet and he wants to like ban gay marriage and, hurt gay people because he's actually super, super gay. That's the feeling I get. And it really, it feels like it's in line with this power kink, this control freak thing that these people have. A Collective Shout team member has conducted extensive research using a Steam account set up for this purpose. This is like when people are like, "Oh yeah, I was just doing research on child pornography. That's why it's all in my search results." She has documented content including violent sexual torture of women and children Bullshit. Including incest-related abuse involving family members. Yeah, definitely. Have you ever been to Pornhub or like any pornography site? Like everything's incest now. I don't really get it, but like it's like the biggest category of porn is like stepmom and stepson and stepdaughter, stepsister, like incest, whatever, step or otherwise is like huge. Video games do it very, very in more moderation than actual like video porn, but whatever. First they came for the video games, then they came for Pornhub. These games endorsing men's sexualized abuse and torture of women and girls. I feel like they really get off writing these phrases too, like sexualized abuse and torture. They're like getting all titillated when they make this open letter. Also, men's sexualized abuse. I'm sorry, lots of women are into this stuff too. This is like the whole male gaze conversation. Not male gaze, Gays, male gaze, Gaze. This idea that all sexualized women are just sexualized for the pleasure of men and the male gaze, when in fact, many women are into all sorts of weird, kinky shit too. And many women like to look at other hot women. Many women are into BDSM. Many women have weird CNC fantasies. Like, I'm sorry, like, again, as long as it's consensual, I don't give a shit what your kinks are, and you shouldn't give a shit what mine are, because they're personal, and we're allowed to read whatever smut we want and watch whatever porn we want and play these weird fucking games on Steam. We should be allowed to do that, at least in the United States, where we have, freedom of speech baked into our Constitution. I don't know about Australia. Seems like I can't do the accent. Sorry. It seems like a lot of shit gets banned in Australia, like, and that this group has had a lot to do with it, including preventing GTA 5 from being sold in some retailers. There's other stuff. There's let me see. They tried to ban Snoop Dogg and Eminem from Australia. They successfully stopped Tyler the Creator from touring in Australia, which just makes me think back to when in World War II, the Australians didn't want the American troops to come to land and to like be based in Australia because there were black troop members. And the United States was like, if you don't want us because of that, then we won't help you, I guess. And then they backed down. And they tried to unsuccessfully ban Detroit Become Human from sale in Australia, but there's been all these attempts to censor shit in Australia. But I'm rambling. Okay. These games endorsing men's sexualized abuse and torture of women and girls fly in the face of efforts to address violence against women. We do not see how facilitating payment transactions and deriving financial benefit from these violent and unethical games is consistent with your corporate values and mission statements, which are to make money, motherfucker. Their whole corporate values and mission statements is to make motherfucking money, not to moralize and tell us what we can or cannot watch or buy or read or play amongst consenting adults. And then they have all their stupid names signed at the end. Oh, sorry, there's also, we request that you demonstrate corporate social responsibility and immediately cease processing payments on Steam and itch.io and any other platforms hosting similar games. Do what we say because we petition you and we're going to get mad at you and boycott you. And I just hate it. It just drives me crazy. And has nothing to do with the content of these games. I don't care. I don't play this type of game any more than I read erotica. Like, we all have the things that titillate us. We all, clearly for Melinda Tankard Rice, the thing that gets her off most is telling other people what to do, and then patting herself on the back. Because that just feels so good to pat yourself on the back because you've helped women and girls. You've protected them from the fictional characters in games. That's the other thing that bugs me about this, though. Like, in a world where there is a lot of bad shit that happens, there is a lot of rape and sexual abuse, sexual assault, all kind, against children, against women, against men. against all sorts of people who are victims, who are vulnerable. There are a lot of real world problems, and these people are spending all their time just trying to censor media. And again, it's the same thing as I've talked about this countless times in the past. Violence in video games. All the assholes who have over the years said that violence in video games creates real world violence, and there is nothing in the scientific record that shows that that is true. Real world violence is not caused by violence in media. There's nothing to suggest that games that feature fictional scenarios like this actually lead to real world sexual abuse. Sexual abusers, rapists, those people, pedophiles, that's all baked into who they are. They're going to do it and be without this stuff. They did it before there were video games. Sexual abuse and assault was taking place before anyone had ever watched a movie or played a video game. That shit has been going on as long as people have been out there. Just like murder and theft, lying, and all the other bad shit people do. It's always been there. It didn't just start happening because some developer created the game No Mercy, or Rockstar came out with GTA 5, or action movies had people blowing up and shit. Like, we were getting into wars, we were doing genocide, we were doing all kinds of horrible shit before any of this was around. But these people, the censors, have been around, trying to stop people from, I mean, in fact, watch the movie Quills. It's got Jeffrey Rush and Joaquin Phoenix, and it's about and Kate Winslet, and it's about the Marquis de Sade, one of the early eroticists, and he was arrested and institutionalized for writing effectively what we would think of as fairly mild pornographic material now. But these are the people. These are the control freaks. These are the people that have been around for as long as people have had free thinking and ideas, that have been trying to stop that because, I don't know, because they're scared of what it says about them. They're scared that they like this stuff, and they have some weird, twisted, fucked up morality where the only way that they can control themselves is to control everybody else. I don't know. But I think it's everybody's job, whether or not you really like or think these are good video games. Like, it's our responsibility to fight back against people who are trying to control us and tell us what the definition of good is, what the definition of, to put little fences around our freedom of thought and expression and art, because these are the dangerous people. I don't care if they're on the left or the right, or they're religious, or they're atheistic, or whether they're all these the SJW types that have been telling us how bad it is to have sexualized representation of women in video games for all these years. Bayonetta's bad because she wears her hair as clothing and she's sexy, or Stellar Blade is bad because of jiggle physics, or whatever. I don't care if you're these game journalists that have been writing this shit, or you're these assholes from Collective Shout that say this shit, or you're some congressperson or whatever. You are the enemy of free thinking and expression, and the only way you stop these people is by talking about it, and making let people at Steam know. I mean, we have to get our ideas out there because this is dangerous. This they don't stop. They'd never stop. No victory is enough victory. And they're going to come after everybody. They're going to come after, these right-wing feminists are going to come after the LGBTQ people, right? And their art and their expression. And they're also going to be coming after GTA 6, and they're going to be coming after whatever. Now I'm saying all these like LGBTQ, GTA, WWE, NSFW, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I don't want to like moralize here. That's not what I was trying to do with this video. Mostly I just wanted to do funny voices and try to practice my Australian accent and make fun of these assholes for being such control freaks and so anti-fun and so self-righteous. It just drives me crazy. But I'm done. I'm not gonna say any more. It's probably been covered enough. I will say that there were a couple articles written about this. The last thing I want to note here is there a couple articles in Waypoint, and those articles were pulled. And I don't know what happened behind the scenes there, but the authors of those articles, the journalists who wrote them, resigned. which I think is very brave to resign after having your articles pulled like that, censored effectively, and I think that's really cool. So shout out to them. It's yeah, Anna Valens, Sean Kichaki, and Matt Vatanica. My God, these are hard names to say. All resigned after those articles were pulled, and it's hard to say, was if those were pulled because of the content was just not right for that website, or whether Collective Shout got involved. But anyways, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and I will and yeah, leave a comment. Sorry, I'm a little frazzled because I see people trying to talk to me over here. So, peace.
It's outrageous. You're hungry for control. Your outrage is unhinged. You don't need to be a skull. It's outrageous. You can't just walk away until you reign. Lord, the parade to keep your own demons at bay.